Welcome to All Power to the Developing, a podcast of the Eastside Institute, where social justice, human development, and community building come together. This is where you will meet activists, artists, teachers, scholars, helpers, and healers who are bringing creativity, hope, and possibility to individuals and communities all over the world. Yes. Hello, everyone. Welcome to All Power to the Developing. This is your host, Des, with a quick update. First of all, we would like to wish everyone a happy new year, a happy 2026. Thank you so much for rocking with us for all of these years. Thank you to all of our supporters in 2025, and thank you to all of our listeners globally who listen to the podcast. We couldn't do it without you. The All Power to the Developing team is in the current process of getting our next series of guests, and we're working very hard behind the scenes. But in the interim, we would like to leave you with this amazing conversation hosted by Womanity Project's own Aurelie Harp, featuring the Institute's co-founder, Lois Holtzman. This is a conversation called Do Identities Limit Us? It's going to fade in right after this message by me, and we hope that you enjoy this conversation in the interim. All Power to Developing will be back with our normal guest shortly. Thank you so much for all of your support and all of the love. Enjoy this conversation.
So hello.
Hello.
I'm here with Lois Holtzman, who is the director and co-founder with Fred Newman of the Eastside Institute in New York. The Eastside is a nonprofit research and training center for developing and promoting alternative and radically humanistic approaches to psychology, therapeutic, teaching, learning, and community building. You have a PhD in psychology, you're a researcher, you're an author. Your latest book, The Overweight Brain, is you're still you're selling it, like we can find it online. Yes, absolutely. You're as well the chair of Global Outreach for All Stars program, which is an organization that creates opportunities for positive youth development. And you are the chair and chief organizer of the Performing the World biannual conference, which supports performance, activism, and emerging social change. That's a lot. So my very first question that I start with is, do you identify with a gender? And if so, explain why.
Do I identify with a gender? I don't particularly identify, period. So it's a hard question for me. I am of a gender. I am a straight woman. I don't take that as an identity. And I mean, I'm a million other things, right? I'm of a certain age, etc. So I don't identify with a gender, but I don't mean by that what most people might mean if they said they didn't identify with a gender.
Yeah, meaning that you're not, it's not like because you're non-binary or whatever. You did say I'm a woman, I'm a straight woman.
I have problems with the whole concept of identity.
Okay.
Whether it applies to gender or race or anything else.
So can you tell me more about that?
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, I think obviously there are certain identities that people have been given or that they take on that are limiting. And those very same ones can turn out to be liberating. Or they could start out liberating and then they become constraining. For me, the concept of identity, the idea that you have one, or two or three or four, is itself limiting. I think it's a way of taking the complexity, mostly beautiful complexity of human beings, and narrowing it into something that is obviously identifiable, right? So if there are characteristics of a person that are identifiable, why do they have to coalesce into something called an identity? That's what I'm wondering. Okay, so the characteristics of both of us is female, whatever our preferred gender and activities in the world are. But at the moment, we are definitely perceived from our hair to our clothes as female. Those are characteristics. I don't know why we have to make that into an identity. And actually, I'd love to know why. You know, like what is the need? What is that desire? What is the safety that comes from an identity?
It's interesting because I'm still processing, and I wonder if that comes from the idea of oppression and the fact that a part of humanity felt and feels and is oppressed, and in order to be able to even talk about that oppression, it was simpler at one point to design a group and to unify certain characteristic of this group under, let's call it the women's movement or the minority movement. So I do think that maybe like that's the way our brain have been trained to organize, right?
Well, I'm wondering if everything in history could have happened, and indeed much of it did, without there being such a thing as identity politics.
What is identity politics, and what's going on today with it? Or why is it an issue or a limitation? Let's put it this way.
Well, the way politics in the United States works anyway is that you have certain identity groups that then the politicians either want or do not want their support.
Mm-hmm.
And how they get that is by currying favor and by basically splitting them apart. So the women's vote, the black vote, the Puerto Rican vote, the Chicano vote, the transgender vote, the gay vote. How has it, certainly those political groupings around identity have been of enormous value in getting some legal rights. The question is whether they have furthered democracy, whether they have furthered equality. And I don't see any evidence that they have. So as a progressive person, I absolutely support every group's right to fight for their rights. Like, there's no question about that. And that's severely limited unless we all get together and imagine and work towards and find ways to create a world in which those identities are irrelevant. And so I fear that they stop and they get stuck at getting my fair share.
Mm-hmm. So, and this is that leads me to the question around feminism. Because in a way, I feel like you sort of gave a definition or a description of what the history of feminism has been and become. What does feminism mean to you, and why?
Feminism as a ideology, it's not mine. It's not my ideology. Feminism as an ideology. I have been enormously impacted on by feminism in very positive ways, and I identify with the oppression within psychology, within education, within science, within politics, of all the feminist arguments. It's as an ideology, I don't support it. I don't support any ideology actually at all. Because I think it's authoritarian. So to the extent that feminism might veer on authoritarianism, except it's not patriarchal authoritarianism, I don't support that.
Mm-hmm.
But certainly feminist ideals and feminist notions and feminist political fights, I support.
I see. I begin to see what you're saying. Isn't it though, or isn't it the fact that history, in a way, it's kind of a natural process of something is noticed or an injustice is experienced, and all of a sudden, in order to think about it, we have to sort of name it and use language to understand better, articulate what it is, and from that on, it becomes a political movement that becomes an ideology. So I'm wondering if it's not like a natural way of when you talk about the movement, the identity politics or feminism, in a way that's kind of I don't know if the natural or historical process that we've seen for so many things. And if that's the case, how can we prevent fights or ideas or
I don't know how we can prevent them. I know some steps that I think are prerequisites or part and parcel of overthrowing, for example, dichotomous ways of thinking. So if you're feminist, has no term, as I just said before, exists abstractly or outside of the very particular context in which we're having the conversation. And also it doesn't exist outside of the fact that what we have been taught to do when we hear something is to say, oh, it's that, it's not that. Oh, it's feminist, then it's not whatever, then it's not capitalist, it's not Marxist, it's not, like, just name all the other isms that it could be, but it isn't. And so how do we become aware and rid ourselves, or at least become aware, oh, I know what I'm doing. I'm assuming this is an opposite. I'm assuming this has an opposite. I'm assuming if you are straight, then you're not gay. There's all these assumptions in how we have been socialized to think. Mm-hmm. So we need to break out of those ways of thinking by, in my words, performing. Otherwise, by playing with the gender labels, by playing with all these ideologies, the thing is, they become, as you said, maybe they were a necessary part. And Kwame Appiah, the philosopher who writes an ethics column in the Sunday New York Times Magazine every week, and is a very incredible scholar, talked about identity play as a step for Black youth, I think in particular, to take, that you have to be able to play with identity. And to play with them, you have to kind of recognize that just because something is named, it doesn't mean you can point to it.
Yes.
There isn't a correspondence between the way we speak and what there is in the world. We've just decided by convention to call it that. Mm-hmm. But we forget that we all are the ones who constructed it and decided to call it that. Yeah.
So I was wondering, where did this rebellious spirit came from, or if you agree with this rebellious spirit, and if you can tell us a little bit of your journey as the journey of your own ideas.
Sure. Yeah. Well, first, I have no idea. And I do like to think about my own and others' life trajectories as a series of conjunctures of events and having, at certain moments, having your eyes open so that you could see something that you might have missed. Rather than, oh, my father was this way, and so, you know.
But rather than the cause and effect.
Cause and effect thing, but more, well, I don't know if it's serendipitous or what, but anyway, different things shape you, and then you get into a new environment, and you are this newly shaped person that has everything that came before, but now, and if your eyes are open in there, you see something that you didn't see.
Hi, I'm Melissa Meyer, Associate Director of the Eastside Institute. Welcome to All Power to the Developing. I hope you're enjoying today's conversation. In each episode, we introduce you to some amazing performance activists, play revolutionaries, and developmentalists from around the world who talk to us about their creative grassroots efforts to build a better world. If you like what you hear, please follow and share the series. You can find us on Amazon, Spotify, and Podbean. We'd love to hear your comments and ideas. Like everything at the Institute, the growth of All Power to the Developing depends upon the people who create it and benefit from it. We hope you're one of them. Thanks for your support, and now back to our conversation.
You know, when you're very little, no matter who you are, you think, you don't, you're not assuming in a conscious way, but you realize if you see a different kind of family, that you realize, oh, I assumed this is what family is, right? And then you have to realize, oh, no, because they're a family and they're nothing like us. But you don't think that until you see the new thing, right? So, my family, I mean, all of it, we don't know. Everyone's dead right now, but when we were alive, my brother and sister and me, and my parents, how did these two parents, who were conservative, both worked outside the house their whole lives till they retired and then died, uneducated. My mother graduated 8th grade, my father high school. How did these uneducated, very conservative, politically conservative people produce 3 rebels? 3, like, really out there people. My brother and sister both lived hippie lives. One is an artist and one is, my sister's later years were with her partner fixing up a school bus into where they lived and driving and being in the Southwest, first buying jewelry from Native Americans and selling it at crafts fairs and then making it themselves. So she had her life as a crafts fair person, my brother as a failing artist and art teacher, and myself as who I am. And it's like my brain scratched it. What happened? Both of them 3 times divorced and da-da-da-da-da. So, don't know. They did something right, as we always told them. Don't worry about it, you did something really right. But in that whole thing is the going to other people's houses when I was a kid and seeing what passed for normal, which was eating dinner together, having conversation, a parent asking you what happened today at school, reading books, listening to music, all these things that were not in my house. And I didn't even question why aren't they in my house or try to get them in my house. It was just like, oh, that's a nice thing to do. I'm going to go to my friend's house, not to escape my house, but to have another experience. So I feel like all my life I just added on experiences and let them impact on me and help me become who I was becoming all the time. I remember going to college, first walking into classes and having been a smart kid at school, now everybody was smart. And that was devastating at first. Like, what? And saying, oh, okay, I'm very different in different environments. It didn't like...
Yeah, you didn't become competitive or...
No, or like feel like question myself. No, it was just, all right, so how do I have to be here to continue to succeed? Not the same as I was in the smart classes in high school, you know? I don't know what I'm saying it matter of fact, and it's the only way I could do it because I don't remember being traumatized or devastated or anything. It was like, that's what life is. You just try to not fit into whatever, but I guess the third thing, I could go on and on, is my brother's first wife was a Black woman from Haiti, and my parents did not approve, to put it mildly, and didn't come to the wedding. And my mother had 8 brothers and sisters, and my father had 4. And only one cousin and my sister and I came to the wedding. And that was like, whoa. That was important to me. That I just found that so disgusting. So that had an impact of some sort.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, in terms of myself, I don't particularly stay in situations I don't like. So I was, for some reason, decided to study psychology. I have no idea why. And did. And I did very badly in it, got D's in the courses and hated it. And so I didn't stay there. I came back around to it many, many years later, because I realized I was passionate about understanding language, thought, and human development. And so I came back. It wasn't uninformed, and it wasn't, prestige. I don't know. Really don't know why, but so I didn't stay in that very long. I was in a lovely 10-year marriage. And when it wasn't lovely anymore, I didn't stay in it, et cetera, et cetera. So I have been in the broad community that is now very, very much a global one for human development and play and performance for over 40 years. And that's because I love it.
I hear you. Were there, though, like moments or experience in your life when you feel that the way society sees you or puts you in the box of woman either empowered you or limited you?
Sure. And other given identities as well, or other characteristics.
Labels.
Labels, yes. I mean, I remember when I was first married and my husband was a graduate student at Brown University, and I would hang out with the graduate students, and also a professor and graduate student wives and husbands and everything would get together. There was one female graduate student in the PhD program in psychology. And I learned about a year later from that this is in the 70s, okay, that they didn't accept women because they were sure they were going to get pregnant. So it had to be really exceptional. I mean, I find it not limiting in maybe the last 30 years or so, in the sense that I'm really an organizer, a community organizer, and a practitioner. And I also am an intellectual, and so when I think being a woman, and a mature woman, affords me a lot of particular kind of respect. But more than that, I can say things that are outrageous. And I'm very mild-mannered, as you know, and you can hear. I can say things can come out of my mouth that if they came out of a man would be threatening in a negative way, as opposed to provocative in I think a positive way.
Yes.
I don't know if you experienced
that. Yeah, you thought provocateur or provocative talker and thinker. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
And I do think it has to do with being a woman. the response to it.
You talked about it, about what are the prerequisite you can do to avoid thinking in a binary way, or in a dichotomous way. And I was wondering, in terms of in your work, if you can explain, how do you create change, or what are I remember like in the international class, you talked about the 2 principles that you had for the Eastside Institute and at All Stars. One was, I think, to be independent, and I don't remember what was this.
The current culture, I'd say even almost global. I mean, it's definitely global. Whether it touches every single part of the planet is another question, but is to place our thinking powers and our powers of rationality above everything else, and to understand ourselves as individuals who have to learn how to get along and be with other individuals. So I think that is the root of everything that's wrong in the world. And that beginning with us being social, connected, relational, is what we need to do. Now, how do you help people begin that way? Or at least even realize, oh, we are relational, or everything we're doing now is relational. It can look like I am telling you what is on my mind, and you are telling me what is on your mind. But in order to think that way, you have to accept that you have a mind that's separate from my mind, which I'm not sure is the case. So it's like, turns your head around. And it's incredibly easy to involve people in some kind of collective, playful creating of something that they never created before. So the way we change all this, that I think is at the root of how come we don't get along, and we're selfish, and we're all these things, and categories and labels and stigma, has to do with that. All we need to do is transform that through creating something new. All we need, I'm always like in the hugest capital letters you can imagine, because it's this incredible job. But can we create something that is beyond gender? We created gender. So it seems to me if we created gender, we can create something that's beyond gender. And I don't think it's just a will. I don't think anyone knows how, including me. We have no idea how to do it. What I think we have a handle on, and many, many people around the world, is how you might create an environment in which that might be possible. That's all I'm looking for, is it might be possible. Because at the moment it's not.
And it's the name of our series, so it's probably beyond gender. that's the ultimate goal.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah.
And I would say my last question is, who are the persons that you would like to say really thank you, or feel they really contributed to become who you are, and maybe who you are today?
Well, one is the obvious one, who's Fred Newman, my closest intellectual collaborator, co-founder of the Institute, architect of so many things in the burgeoning development community around the world, who passed away in 2011. And was just this complicated person, brilliant and kind, and very supportive of women's leadership. And for some reason, when you ask me this question, the person who comes to mind is my sister. She's 10 years older than me. She was, as I said, when we were in the school bus, I think because she just did what she wanted to do.
All Power to the Developing was made possible in part by Growing Social Therapeutics, the Baylor Wolf Fund.